Well, we can bring in Jamie Carragher. Jamie, what do you think will be the bigger frustration for Jurgen Klopp, that they weren't able to create more against such a defensive team, or that they were breached ultimately?
I think being breached, really. I think it's nothing new when teams come to Anfield, or certainly Sam Allardyce's teams, or anywhere really, against the top side and defend like that. And at times, what Jurgen Klopp said is right. It is difficult. We've played in those games ourselves, lads in the studio, where it is difficult to create when there's so many men behind the ball. So the important thing is not to give the opposition a chance. And that's what Liverpool did in the second half. You talk about the actual goal, where the corner came from. I think it was sloppy from Curtis Jones on the edge of the box. Rhys Williams heads it out for a corner. Before that, Andy Robertson kicked one, it went for a corner. So it was their own making, really, and that's why I felt, and I said in commentary, that West Brom did deserve their actual point, because they did look a lot more threatening. They got the balance really spot on in some ways in that second half, between being defensively resolute and not giving Liverpool chances, but also looking more of a threat themselves.
Makes you wonder why other teams don't do it as well, because Sam Allardyce has managed it 4 times with 4 different clubs.
Yeah, he has. I mean, that's the nature of his game, and that's why he gets brought into clubs. And it's about, I think he said something in the week, it's more important to get clean sheets than get goals. And he knows he can build from that. He didn't quite get that one today, but playing like that means the opposition won't score too many goals against you, but it's very difficult to score yourself, and you need a little bit of luck. And, you know, they get a little bit of luck. They had one big chance, obviously. Alisson does really well on that one. They get ahead of the spin of the ball. So you just need those little things to go for you, and that's the balance that you have. We were talking about Leeds, I think, last week being completely the opposite, and we mentioned that on Monday Night Football. And it's not about who you'd rather watch. Those clubs, it'll just be about who stays in the league, and that's all Sam Allardyce will care about. So he won't care about any possession stats. The fact that, you know, he's picked up a point, but it's still a huge job, I feel, to keep West Brom in this league. I think they'll certainly need a lot of help, Sam and Sammy Lee, with the January transfer window as well, because I still think that will need strengthening. It will need strengthening that squad if they are to stay up.
And what about Liverpool moving forward? Another injury for Joel Matip. How much of a worry is that going into January?
It's a massive worry, but it's not a new worry. Joel Matip will not play every game between now and the end of the season. You know that even before the injury today, and that's why it's paramount that Liverpool sign someone in January. I said that as soon as Virgil van Dijk had his injury against Everton. I mean, Fabinho's gone there and looked like a top-class centre-back in that position. So maybe people at the club maybe felt the need wasn't as urgent, but Joel Matip is just too injury-prone. His body just can't take the rigours of playing in Premier League football week in, week out. We know that since he joined. He's a really good player. And I think, I still believe Liverpool are the best team in this league, even without Virgil van Dijk. And I think most people would say they were favourites to win the Premier League. I think the only way they don't win it is if they have problems at centre-back, where Rhys Williams or Nat Phillips have to play for a prolonged period of time. The odd game coming in now and again, they've done really well, they've done fantastic. But I know that's a position I played. It's not a position really for young players as such. And at times they will make mistakes because the young players, they're learning. And I think that's the only way that could cost Liverpool. And that don't necessarily mean bringing a centre-back in for 70, 80 million, like a Van Dijk type of signing. And not necessarily someone to go straight in the team. Just someone there so Liverpool don't end up maybe with 2 young lads at some stage, maybe for 5 or 6 weeks, if Fabinho was, you know, to go down injured. Because at this moment, Liverpool Football Club have got 1 senior centre-back who's available this season, and he's injury-prone, so they have to do something in January.